is your family business. It's your family business. We're a family. It's not the responsibility of one or two, it's the responsibility of everyone. So in the same way that this building is our church home, things like the celebration, serving in the celebration, or, sorry, I've just lost my plot. Oh, so the celebration, ministry and mission, all those sort of things are our family business. Now, God's core business is people. Would you agree with me? I think so. And therefore, to show a commitment to God and His kingdom, we need to show a commitment and participate in the family business, serving people. So that can be by serving each other on Sunday. That's one way we do it. Participation in the roster, cooking lunch, cleaning up after lunch, hosting a life group. There's lots of different ways. Secondly, and I don't think it's and or, I think it should be both. Secondly, it includes ministering to our neighbours. Now, where Murray and I live, we have neighbours. We regularly see them, say hello, how are you going? Oh, the neighbour says, oh, I need to move this in from my car, it's too heavy, can you help me? We go and help. And it's the same for our church family that meets here in this church home. We need to be ministering to our neighbours, those around us in the surrounding suburb who don't yet know Jesus. So they could be spending time when you're walking up the street from the station. Get talking to someone. They're not going to bite. Spend some time connecting with them. Pray for people that you talk with if they say they've got a need. Participate in outreach, ministry and mission events. Murray and I have a heart to see so much stuff happening here to impact our community, but we can't do it by ourselves. We need everyone in the family to be getting in the family business. Our commitment to God's church is on an ongoing basis. It's not just a one-off. So why do we need commitment? Isn't it enough just to say, to say that, we're committed, to say that we love God? No, commitment is more than a word. To say that you love God is to be committed to what God's committed to. To say you love God, to love God, is to be committed to what God's committed to. It's not enough just to say it. Because without commitment, we're distracted and we move away from God, not intentionally, but gradually. And without commitment, we don't have the power or the will that we need to do things when it gets hard or when it seems too much. Now, throughout God's word, He makes it quite clear that if we truly love Him, we'll be committed to the things that He's committed to. In Micah chapter 6, it says, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly and love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." All the things that God is committed to, all through the Bible, you see that He's committed to justice, mercy, and relationship between God and man. You need to be committed to what God's committed to. What about a New Testament example? John 15:5. Jesus said, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anybody does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be given to you. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples." When we're committed to the things of God's kingdom, we're committed to what He's committed to. And the additional promise here is that we will see fruit in our lives and in His kingdom. So what does commitment in action look like? Two things. Firstly, it takes desire and determination. Someone once said, there's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when circumstances permit. So when you have time, when you can be bothered. But when you're committed to something, You don't accept excuses, only results. You put in 100% all the time. You have a goal and you go for it. Understanding God's heart, as we discussed before, will give you the desire that you need and aid you in your determination. In addition, if we surround ourselves with people who have a heart for God's heart as well, who encourage us and support us and walk with us and serve with us, it all helps us to maintain our desire and determination. Expect that there will be challenges and setbacks. I'm not saying it'll be easy. Maybe there'll even be opposition. But understand that desire and determination can overcome even the greatest odds. The second thing that about what it does, what commitment in action looks like, is that commitment takes time, effort, and sacrifice. Time, effort, and sacrifice. In Luke chapter 12, Jesus said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." What's important to you? What are you passionate about and committed to? Because that's where you're going to be spending your time, your effort, and your resources, what you'll be prioritising. If I were to ask your friends, I wonder if they'd say the same thing that just went through your head, or whether they'd say something different. Because they're going to base their answer on where they see you spending your time, your effort, resources. Any answer they give will be based on that. So if you're not sowing your time, effort and resources into something, you're probably actually not committed to it. So what time, effort and resources are you sowing into God, into His kingdom? It's been said, life wasn't meant to be easy. If good things came to us just by sitting around, how good would life be? Because we'd all just love to sit around and do nothing, wouldn't we? I don't know about you, but I would. I'm a bit lazy sometimes. But instead it takes time, effort and sacrifice to see the things that we're passionate about become a reality. To sum it up, Thomas J. Watson wrote a book on IBM. You know IBM, the big company that make computers? And he wrote how we can learn from their success. He stated that as important as a variety of other factors were, nothing else was as important as how strongly the people in the organisation shared the company's beliefs and how faithfully they carried them out. And as true as this is for the success of a business, it's the same for you and I as individuals and in our relationship with God. So the single most important factor in maintaining our passion for God is commitment. In fact, the more we maintain our commitment, I think the more passionate we are likely to become. Just want you to take a minute to reflect. What are you committed to? What are you? Sorry? Say the quote again. Okay. Okay, good quote Murray's saying. So, yeah, this guy wrote about IBM and he stated that as important as a variety of other factors were, nothing was as important as how strongly the people in the organisation, so the staff, they're just paid to be there. You know, they don't really have a vested interest, but when they believed in the values and the business that IBM was trying to achieve, and when they carried it out faithfully, that was the single most thing needed for success. And it's the same for God's kingdom. This is why I'm talking about you need God's heart. You need to share God's heart so that you have the desire and the goal that you're working towards. And you also need to sow into it. That's why I've talked about time, effort, desire and determination. Because without that, God's kingdom won't grow. Who here wants to see God's kingdom grow? I know I do. Awesome. So ask yourself today, what are you committed to? we don't do other things. Obviously we need to go to work, we need to go to school, but it's about where you're spending your spare time. What are you sowing into? If the answer's not God's kingdom, and you put up your hand, or you're thinking, yes, I want to see God's kingdom grow, then I want to encourage you to think, how can I get more committed? What do I need to do to get God's heart? What do I need to do to put God's desires before my own? What do I need to do to commit more to God's church and the business of the church? Do I really love God? Is the way I'm living reflecting a commitment to God? Because if you're not walking the talk, then maybe it's just talk. Do I have the desire, determination? Am I putting in the time, effort, and sacrifice? All the time, all the effort, it's worth it. 1 Corinthians 15 says, therefore, my dear brothers, stand firm. Brothers and sisters, guys. Let nothing move you. Always give yourself fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labour in the Lord is not in vain. Commitment to God's kingdom is not in vain. Commitment to building your bank account is temporal. When you die, you can't take it with you. Commitment to God's kingdom is eternal, and that's awesome. Are you committed to the things of God's kingdom and to developing a relationship with Him?